City Clerk, first order of business.
Council Tran recommends that the Lynn City Council set down for public hearing a proposed ordinance for a teen social club.
Councilor Tran.
So I just go. I personally do not agree with this. I think it is rather impractical with the curfew ordinance. And also because in section 6, part 2, section 6, part 2, there's an exception to the curfew saying that the minor is allowed to be accompanied by a person 18 or over, authorized by a parent or guardian, which I think is like really hard to enforce, first of all. And also, the curfew ordinance applies to 18-year-olds.
Anybody second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Councilor Worthy.
I'd like to ask for a clarification actually on section 6, sub E, part 3. It says if the minor is legally employed for the period from 45 minutes before 45 minutes after work while working between the minor's home and a place of employment. I would like a clarification on that because that's not very clear what it's even asking.
Councilor Tran.
The employment refers to minors that are possibly employed at the social club.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Aguero? No. Councilor Bowie?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Cole?
No.
Councilor Gonzalez?
No.
Councilor Kirkwood?
Yes.
Councilor Lynn?
No.
Councilor Newton?
No.
Councilor Snyder?
No.
Excuse me?
No.
No. Councilor Stanton?
Yes.
Councilor Tran?
No.
Councilor Worthy?
Yes.
3 yes.
Motion fails. Second order of business, please.
Councilor Aguero recommends that the City of Lynn provide funding to the Lynn Public Schools for implementation of a voluntary school uniform program throughout the middle school and high schools.
Councilor Lego.
I personally disagree with this. I actually had experience with the uniforms, and they tend to be good at first, but then it drags on, gets boring. You see the same thing every day. And honestly, I feel that it gets in the way of freedom of expression with some kids. Some kids, they want to wear all black. Other kids want to wear rainbow neon colors. And disagree.
Anybody second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Councilor Worthy.
I'd like to pose an amendment to this. The amendment would be extended to elementary schools also, so it's not just segregated to the junior high and high school, but all schools would have to wear it, so the older kids wouldn't say, I never had to wear it during elementary school, and it would just be something that was done throughout their life, so it would just be a normal routine as opposed to a culture shock.
Anybody second that?
Second.
Any further discussion on the amendment only? Can I take a roll call on the amendment, please? It's on the amendment, not on the main motion. Roll call.
Councilor Aguero,
No.
Councilor Bowie,
No.
Councilor Coe,
No.
Councilor Gonzalez,
No.
Councilor Carpio,
No.
Councilor Lynn,
No.
Councilor Newton,
No.
Councilor Snyder,
No.
Councilor Stanton,
No.
Councilor Tran,
No.
Councilor Worthley,
Yes.
1 yes.
Motion failed on the amendment. Any further discussion on the main motion? Councilor Tran.
I feel like the city funding this for voluntary school uniforms is kind of unnecessary, and also it gets a potential waste of money, because if you fund all this extra uniforms and no one buys it, then we've just wasted some money.
Any further discussion? Councilor Gonzalez.
Yes. It says that the implementation of a voluntary school uniform program. Now, my question is, if it's voluntary, with the uniform, what is the purpose of the uniform? Would it be for the students to be all in uniform together as a whole?
Any further discussion? Roll call to deny the motion.
Councilor Aguero,
Yes.
Councilor Bowie,
Yes.
Yes is to deny the motion.
Yes.
Councilor Coe,
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez,
No.
Councilor Carpio,
Yes.
Councilor Lynn,
Yes.
Councilor Newton,
Yes.
Councilor Snyder,
Yes.
Councilor Stanton,
Yes.
Councilor Tran,
Yes.
Councilor Worthley,
Yes.
10 yes to
The
deny.
motion to deny is successful. Third order of business.
Councilor Carpio recommends the director of the Office of Economic and Community Development look into the feasibility of hosting a free concert at Manning Field for the youth of Lynn.
Councilor Carpio.
We agree with this. We don't see an issue with it. We want to point out that there is already certain concerts going on in Lynn for perhaps the older group, and we don't think that it's very fair to not have it for the younger group. But we think it'd be a great time. And also, they used to do this at Manning Bowl before it changed to Manning Field, so I do think that we already have like an idea of how to implement this, and it wouldn't be that difficult. And we hope you think so too.
Anybody second that? Second to approve or to deny. Councilor Newton.
Who's gonna pay for the police details at the concert?
Councilor Carpio.
Community development. They pay for this type of thing.
Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Councilor Worthley.
How often would this concert be held? Would it be like bi-yearly, annually, once every season?
We start with a one-time like trial basis.
Any further discussion? Councilor Bowie.
How would you ensure that it will be successful? Like to get a lot of people show up.
Sell tickets ahead of time.
Wait, is it? We have to buy tickets, or is it free?
Voluntary contribution tickets. I guess it'd be tickets of some sort. Not necessarily you have to pay for them, but just sort of a ticket to say that you're gonna go.
Councilor Tran.
Will the concert venue be also voluntary or community-based?
Who wants to explain the question?
The performers at the concert, will they be, yeah.
Yes, that would be voluntary, like popular people.
Any further discussion? Councilor Scarpio, can you please repeat your motion?
Can we read it?
No, I meant to deny or to accept.
Accept.
Motion to accept, roll call, please.
Councilor Willow,
No.
Councilor Bowie,
No.
Councilor Coe,
No.
Councilor Gonzalez,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Carpio,
Yes.
Councilor Lynn,
Yes.
Councilor Newton,
No.
Councilor Snyder,
No.
Councilor Stanton,
No.
Councilor Tran,
Yes.
Councilor Worthylake,
Yes.
5 yes. Motion fails.
Motion to accept, failure. Vice President Lynn, please approach the stand.
Clerk, next order of business?
Councilor Coe recommends that all City of Lynn elected officials, including the mayor, city council, school committee, state senator, and the state representative, be subject to random drug testing annually, conducted by the city health department and appropriate medical personnel. And if any elected official fails said test for illegal drugs, they shall immediately be removed from their elected position.
Councilor Culp?
I fully agree and put my all faith and credit in this motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I would also like to make a motion to amend it to make it a home rule petition, which if passed would make it a state law only for Lynn, to make it more official and enforced. Any?
Is there a second? Oh, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Is there any discussion?
On the amendment.
Yes.
On the amendment only. Councilor Gonzalez?
No. There's no discussion.
Councilor Tran?
Like, what do you mean by state law and enforced?
Councilor Culp?
This law would go to the state house and be discussed for any issues or questions that they have, and if passed, it would make it a law that is enforceable. But it would be for Lynn only, it wouldn't be a statewide law.
Attorney Vitale, could you please elaborate on the legality?
The amendment is asking to have the state take a home rule petition. A home rule petition is a recommendation from the city asking the state legislature to create legislation. In this particular case, you'd be asking the state to create legislation to enact this particular council order requiring the drug testing. And part of the reason somebody may have brought that up is that the order as it stands addresses the city council and the mayor and the school committee, all city officials, but it also addresses the state senator and the state representative, who are state officials. So they're under the legislative branch of the Massachusetts legislature, where the council and the mayor operate here within the city under the city charter. But anything for the city council to be drug tested, you should really pursue that, I think.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Councilor Newton? Through the chair, could I ask the attorney, are there any cities or towns in Massachusetts that do this now?
Probably not, and let me say, my last remark was keeping with sort of to keep this light and keep this as a, for what its purpose is, as a democratic exercise in how government works. The truth of the matter is, were this kind of a motion to be put forth, right, it involves a variety of levels. For instance, like city employees, a lot of them are under what's called the collective bargaining agreements. So for instance, you'll see that you'll find a lot of unions and drug testing, like the Boston firefighters is a big issue, have the issue of drug testing. It's under the bailiwick of a collective bargaining agreement. Major League Baseball, for instance, has drug testing, but that's a whole separate entity unto itself. But as far as cities and towns in Massachusetts, it's really not something that has taken hold anywhere, and especially where you have so many different degrees of officials that you're dealing with. So the concept of drug testing is certainly around and is certainly in place in a lot of workplaces. Truck drivers, for instance, are oftentimes drug tested as a condition of their employment. That makes sense because it's a public safety issue. But as far as legislative bodies go and legislators, I mean, the people have a right to elect who they want for what they serve in a variety of capacities. So you're putting a condition on where you do that in Lynn that would probably not, you know, I can't think of any place in Massachusetts where it says any government body subject to the drug testing. But it's an interesting concept and one that, you know, if you can find it, what's called a rational basis, if there's some public safety reason for it, you might have some standing to try and present it. But there's a lot that goes into these things, and a lot of you have, you know, expressed your opinions throughout the night already. And you need to, you know, look at from any issue from more than one side. But as far as the specific issue of is this ineffective anywhere in Massachusetts, I'm not aware of any.
Thank you. Councilor Hill?
Just to further my recommendation, I think we should pioneer a very, in my personal, obvious test to elected officials and be able to say not everybody in Lynn is a druggie or likes to go around and do wrong things I cannot name. Other things are, I don't personally want a bunch of counselors sitting in their room smoking a joint making our further decisions which will affect our youth. And I think that pretty much solves my point.
Any further discussion? Councilor Snyder?
I would like to propose an amendment for this. I think that we should only require the mayor, the city council, and the school committee of Lynn to be required to take drug tests, because I don't think we as a city can require state senators or state representatives to take them if this were to go into effect.
There is already amendment on the floor and
Oh,
it's
there is?
being discussed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So is there any further discussion on the current amendment that is being debated? Clerk, roll call.
This is on the First Amendment.
Yep, on the amendment, Councilor Aguilar,
No.
Councilor Louis,
Yes.
Councilor Cole,
Yes.
What is this for?
the amendment to make, yeah, make it a home rule.
Okay. Yes.
Hold on, that was my turn.
Yeah.
Councilor Gonzalez,
No.
Councilor Kerr,
Yes.
Councilor Lim,
Yes.
Councilor Newton,
Yes.
Councilor Snyder,
Could Could you please repeat what the amendment is?
The amendment to make on this issue a home rule.
Home rule petition to send to the legislature.
No.
Councilor Stanton,
No.
Councilor Tran,
Yes.
Councilor Worthy,
No.
6 yes. Motion passes.
Any further discussion on the, Councilor Snyder, would you like to make an amendment?
I'd like to propose that if this order would go into effect, that it only includes the mayor, the city council, and the school committee, because I don't think that as a city we can require a state senator or a state representative to be subject to a random drug test.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Councilor Hall?
That's why I propose the amendment for the House rule, so it goes through the state and gives us the proper authority to do so.
Any further discussion? Clerk, roll call.
For the second amendment, Councilor Aguero,
No.
Councilor Bowie,
No.
Councilor Coe,
No.
Councilor Gonzalez,
No.
Councilor Carpio,
Yes.
Councilor Lynn,
No.
Councilor Newton,
Yes.
Councilor Snyder,
Yes.
Councilor Stanton,
No.
Councilor Tran,
Yes.
Councilor Worthy,
Yes.
5 yes. Motion fails.
Any further? If there's no further discussion, Councilor Gonzalez?
Yes. My question is that, is there any evidence of drug use for the elected officials?
Councilor Hope?
Does there need to be, do we need to get to the point where we need to prove that elected officials need to be drug tested? Should we not stop them while we have the chance?
Should we waste money on a problem that doesn't even exist because elected officials are already voted in?
Councilor Bowie?
Wait, but even if they're voted in, I don't think that would stop them from using drugs secretly or.
Councilor Culp?
I second what Councilor Louis said.
Councilor Gonzalez?
But this is already this is blood typing, so it would already cost a lot of money in order to provide these funds, in order to do the testing for the elected officials.
Councilor Culp?
Based on previous knowledge, a simple hair or urine test can be conducted. We do not need to do a blood test.
Even though it's a simple urine test, it still costs a lot of money because how many elected officials will there be? And then we have to provide this money in order to do the testing.
Councilor Bowie?
I think it's worth it for the money because they are elected officials and the city is in their hands and they are representing the city of Lynn.
Second.
Is there any further discussion on the motion? Councilor Worthy?
I feel as though if this were to pass, it should be off of probable cause. Like if someone, say an officer, suspects them to have done an illegal drug, then they should be drug tested out because that would save money because it would be random. It would be off of right when they feel as though someone has done something of illegal nature.
Councilor Culp?
If this is done through city officials, I think at least some of the city officials will have connections, which will negate any possible probable cause.
Councilor Gonzalez?
May I please ask Attorney Vitale to come up to to the podium because I would like to ask him a question. If
You understand I've been called up this much at the regular council. But I will say there's a lot more no's than yeses tonight than there usually are. Okay. What's the question?
so under the city charter, is it are we permitted to remove an elected official?
There is a provision in the city charter for removal, yes. But the way this order is written, it would be immediate removal. Everybody's entitled to due process, and it would be entitled to a hearing. So you'd have to present evidence, and that person would have a chance to defend themselves.
So who would conduct it?
I have to look at the charter, but typically, where this is involving let's say the city council was to go after one of it, not go after, but to present proceedings against one of its members. I'm sure there is a process, but we'd have to make sure it's an independent, partial hearing.
But we're not prepared to do this process because we do not have all the facts provided. Is that so?
Well, the way you have the order right here, it calls for immediate removal, so that can't happen. So there'd have to be a process for a removal, and then determining, since it would be a member, presumably of this body, is a possibility. I mean, the mayor, the school committee, and the city council, then you'd have to have some independent means to conduct a hearing. We'd have to look into that.
Thank you very much.
But you want to give somebody due process. Everybody has their rights to go up on their day in court, or their right to present their position. So just because an allegation is made, there has to be some determination that there's in fact supporting evidence to follow up with a finding.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
I appreciate your time.
To save you some time, I have a question as well. Would not the drug test that proved positive be enough evidence to support the motion?
The person who would be charged with committing the offense would be entitled to present the defense. And the fact that the drug test is positive, if you remember, like in the Ryan Braun case in baseball, he appealed, and he determined that the urine test was taken on, I think, on an evening, put somebody's, the person who conducted the test put the urine sample in his freezer, in his refrigerator, for a day, and then sent it off for a sampling. And they determined there that the chain of custody had been broken, that it wasn't an immediate sampling and test results presented, that there was a process. So that was a defense that was raised. So everybody has a right to as I say, their day in court to present their defense. And the fact that a test comes back positive, hopefully nobody in this room will find this all out, but if you ever had a situation where, similar to like somebody's accused of a drunk driving case, somebody was accused of, taking somebody's personal property, whatever it may be, there is a process where that person who's accused has an absolute right to a defense. And the burden, remember, and this is the other part to consider, the burden is going to be on the accuser, not on the accused. So you have a right against incriminating yourself. So if somebody presents the evidence as I have a positive drug test here, there would still need to be a hearing and still need to have an opportunity for the person accused to present their response to that.
Madam President?
Councilor Gonzalez?
Yes, because we do not have any evidence in this process, that is why I table this matter.
Motion to table is not debatable? Oh, no. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
This is for the original motion. This is for the motion to table.
A motion to table means you're not going to vote on it? Councilor Bowie?
What's the point of delaying it?
no debate on a motion to table. So unfortunately, clerk, roll call.
Councilor Aguero,
Yes.
Councilor Bowie,
No.
Councilor Culp,
No.
Councilor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilor Carpio, Councilors Carpio,
They said no.
Councilor Lim,
No.
Councilor Newton,
No.
Councilor Snyder,
Yes.
Councilor Stan,
Yes.
Councilor Tran,
No.
Councilor Worthily.
Yes.
That's 5 yes. Motion fails.
We're gonna fight.
Councilor Culp?
I have a motion to amend to allow the hearing to resume to the city charge to promote removal as a due process.
Second. Second.
Could you repeat that, please?
A motion to amend to allow a hearing to presume to the city charter prior to removal.
Is there a second? Second. Second. Is there any discussion?
Can you please explain that?
One second, please. This motion would change it so instead of an immediate removal, we will give them a chance to state their case in any misconception that might happen during a drug test.
Any further discussion? Can you repeat that, please?
This motion would amend the original motion I made to, instead of immediate removal, make it a chance for the accused to present their case in case of any misconceptions during the drug testing.
Any further discussion? Clerk, roll call?
This is for the third amendment. Councilor Aguero,
No.
Councilor Bowie,
Yes.
Councilor Culp,
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilor Carpio,
No.
Councilor Lim,
Yes.
Councilor Newton,
Yes.
Councilor Snyder,
Yes.
Councilor Stan,
Yes.
Councilor Tran,
Yes.
Councilor Worthily,
I abstain.
yes. Amendment passed.
The main motion is still out there as amended.
Councilor Gonzalez?
Yes. I would like to make an amend. I would like to amend. I'm sorry. I would like to amend the Lynn Water and Sewer employees. What? By adding to the Lynn Water and Sewer employees, housing employee, city employees, state employers residing to the list of the elected officials in Lynn.
Councilor Culp?
I think my recommends that all Lynn, oh, never mind. I take that back.
Councilor Carpio?
Motion to end discussion. And call a question.
Can I address this problem to the city solicitor, please? Can we also include union employees in this? Because that's what
say? Include
Union employees.
who? You would, again, make an order, a recommendation, but collective bargaining would carry the day for what happens between people who are in the union, city employees who are in a union. That's a contractual negotiations. There'll be an issue for that. So you can certainly express a recommendation, but you could not compel that without having it written into a union contract.
Does that mean the amendment will be improper?
There's been so many amendments, Frank, I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but
To bring in water and sewer employees?
water and sewer is, again, like we talked about before with the state officials. Water and sewer is a separate entity, not under the jurisdiction. It's a quasi-city agency. It's not under the jurisdiction of the city of Lynn. It's its own separate entity. So the council can only act on employees and folks that are under its jurisdiction. So water and sewer is a separate entity. Water and sewer would have to take action if they wanted to. You couldn't do it.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Councilor Newton?
In any of the contracts in the unions in the city, does it say anywhere that you can't drug test them?
I'm not aware of drug testing as being part of any union contract at this point. I know, as I said, I know the city of Boston, the firefighters challenged that, and that was a big issue in Boston. It's an issue that, as you obviously have known by debating this for such a long time, that it's come to the floor. And you may see the day when it becomes more of an issue at the bargaining table, but again, I don't do the union negotiations, but I'm not aware, and I belong to a union that there's any, I'm subject to the union regulations, I should say, that there's any regulations at this point.
Councilor Coe?
This isn't, sit down.
Thank you.
I don't want to sit it's accurate.
Might be easy if I just stood here, right?
I think this should stay with elected officials for now and see if it is successful and basically make it a pilot program, because as the lawyer previously stated, he has no knowledge of any national institution of this. So at this moment, I do not agree with this amendment, and I think at this moment we should just stick with the elected officials.
Any further discussion? Councilor Arguello?
I have a question. Since the elected officials are not officially employees, wouldn't the drug testing violate their privacy to their own health?
They are federal employees.
Any further discussion on the amendment?
They are employees.
Sorry.
Councilor Lee?
Could Aquawell repeat what he said?
Councilor Arguello, please repeat.
Elected officials are not employees. They're elected by the people. So wouldn't this drug testing be a violation to their privacy, to their own health?
Wait, so you're saying they're not employees?
They're elected by the people. They don't fall under collective bargaining.
Councilor Coe?
If they do receive a paycheck from the city, is that not considered an employee?
Yes, the last part.
As council president, I'd like to apologize for making you walk back.
Don't say that at all. The question was, are the city councilors, city employees?
Question was a question by Councilor Gonzalez.
The city councilors receive city benefits and receive a paycheck from the city of Lynn, yes.
But with the drug testing, wouldn't that violate their privacy to health since they do not follow the collective bargaining?
Again, they are not subject to collective bargaining. But whether it would violate their privacy rights or not, that's something for you guys to determine. We to vote this as a condition of service to the city of Lynn, that one of the requirements of your acceptance when you take your oath of office is that you agree to be randomly drug tested, then they would be bound by the terms of their elected duties. So if were you guys as councilors to make that a requirement, then they would be bound by it.
Councilor Culp?
So under this, before they even run, they would know that this is a ordinance under the law. So if they do not want to be randomly drug tested, they have that option not to run.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Councilor Culp?
What was the amendment you're going with?
What was that?
Well, yeah. What was the amendment?
The amendment to add, what was it? Ms. Gonzalez?
The amendment was to add the Lynn Water and Sewer employees, housing employees, city employees, state employees residing to the list of the Lynn elected officials.
All right.
Any further discussion? Clerk, roll call.
The fourth amendment to add housing, sewage, and water, and etc. employees. Councilor Aguero.
I abstain.
Councilor Bowie.
No.
Councilor Culp.
No.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Councilor Kirkbills.
No.
Councilor Lynn.
No.
Councilor Newton.
Yes.
Councilor Snyder. Excuse me.
No.
No. Councilor Stanton.
No.
Councilor Chan.
No.
Councilor Worthlake.
I abstain.
2 yes. Motion fails.
Councilor Kerville?
Motion to end discussion, call question.
It's not a proper motion.
We still have to vote on that name.
Yeah, that's what call
We suppress no opinions. Councilor Culp?
I would like to move on to the next issue, and I just want all to remember this is a drug test, just to make sure we're not having under the influence employees making our decisions. And that was the original thought, and in case of any of the amendments or causing confusion, I just wanted to clear that up.
Clerk, roll call.
This is on the third motion. Councilor Aguero.
On the
On the original motion.
no.
Councilor Bowie.
Wait, is this in support of the ordinance?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilor Culp.
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez.
No.
Councilor Kirkbills.
Yes.
Councilor Lynn.
Yes.
Councilor Newton.
Yes.
Councilor Snyder.
No.
Councilor Stanton.
Can you repeat that one more time?
We are voting on the third ordinance, the original ordinance, in order to drug test the city elected officials. Council Chan.
No.
Council Worthley.
I abstain.
Five yes, motion fails.
After that long and lengthy discussion, all for nothing, I think it's time to move on to the fourth discussion. The fifth. Clerk, please read the...
Councilor Gonzalez recommends that the Lynn City Council set down for public hearing a proposed ordinance regulating satellite dishes in the city of Lynn.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Mr. President, through you and to the members, I present this proposal in regards to the maintenance and the safety of our public.
Anybody second that?
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Gonzalez.
The number of properties in Ward 5 are blighted by numerous satellite dishes in front of the house, and it's not being used. Ordinance requires satellite dishes providers to identify and remove any used satellite dishes. Furthermore, it mandates that any new satellite dishes be installed out of sight on roofs where it is possible.
At this moment, I'd like Councilor Lynn to come up and take my position while I debate my opinion on it. I personally strongly disagree with this ordinance. Due to if any issues coming with the satellite dishes would be that private property having nothing to do with the city ordinance, I think any lawsuits would be towards the private owner of that property. Why should the city waste their money and time on something like this that can be privately settled?
Councilor Gonzalez?
It's not the cost of the city, but we have the permission to do this. And I don't know about you, but would you prefer seeing neighborhoods filled with so many satellite dishes on the side? Or would you like to see the satellite on top of the roof where you can actually see the view of the house and the safety of the people will be better?
Councilor Scorpio?
I want to say that I think this is a little irrelevant, and I disagree with it. And I'm not bothered by satellites, and I definitely haven't been hurt by one. So I disagree.
Councilor Tran?
In section 3, it says, with the intent to limit any aesthetic distractions for the neighborhood. I think that is very subjective. I am also personally not bothered by satellite dishes. I've grown up with it all my life. And I don't understand why it would be preferable to be on the side of a property if roof installation is not permitted.
Councilor Cole?
I personally agree with everything Councilor Trent said, along with why not have a futuristic look on your house with a nice little satellite dish. We'll beam into outer space.
Councilor Worthy?
I personally agree with this because I feel as though if there are just satellite dishes everywhere, it just becomes an eyesore and they just pile up when they could be reused, recycled, and just making the city look a lot cleaner.
Councilor Cole?
In my personal opinion, I have been having around Lynn and back, and I have never seen more than 2 satellites on a house. Again, I think this would be a waste of time and money.
Councilor Scorpio?
Notice everyone's saying, in my opinion, I think this is a little bit too, personal. It's just satellite dishes. So I think it's not really an order of the city. And we're obviously all saying our opinion, and it's not really what we're here for. So I disagree still.
Councilor Gonzalez?
Yes, I disagree because there are many neighborhoods and different wards that you can actually see many satellites on the side, and the property values are decreasing, which also goes into the cost city valuable tax revenues.
Councilor Worthy?
If this were to be passed, a way to make it inexpensive is to just ask the company bi-yearly for a list of terminated accounts, as section 1 says. And if you just ask them for a list, it's not going to cost anything because you're not going to have to go out and do it if you just find out where it is. You're not going to have to thoroughly go there and figure out if it's still being used. So it can not be that expensive in that end.
Councilor Cole?
I would like to ask a question towards Councilor Gonzalez, without the birdie in her ear, what her full opinion on this issue is.
Councilor Gonzalez?
Hello, Councilor Cope. My full opinion is that in order to see the neighborhood better and to provide that Lynn is a better place, wouldn't you like to see the satellites on top of the roof? And you wouldn't have to be going through the whole problem that the property is decreasing.
Councilor Culp?
Is the property value decreasing due to satellite dishes, or is it due to that somebody is too lazy to clean up after themselves?
Councilor Gonzalez?
Well, Councilor Culp, it's both. Because first, the person who actually leaves the tenement, they would actually leave the satellite there. And so why is it not better in order to provide the section 1, as it says, identify all terminated accounts? And that way we can actually improve the buildings and the apartments and the neighborhood through no cost.
Councilor Scorpio?
What if a homeowner likes the look of their satellite?
Councilor Culp?
What if the homeowner wants to reuse the satellite instead of spending extra equipment fees?
Okay. They have the right to refuse, and if you would like to continue on that, you can read sections 1 through 6.
Councilor Tran?
I have a question for section 5. I feel like it was put there because there are existing ordinances that interfere with it. I'd like to know which ordinances are you referring to?
We didn't actually include this section, and so that's why we ask it to be removed.
Councilor Culp?
Why do you not include the ordinance? Are you trying to hide something?
The ordinance that we include did not include section 5 and 6. So,
Councilor Culp?
I'm fully against this. That's bottom line. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put my heart and soul for the next 3 hours if we have to debate, but I don't think any of us want to actually sit here and do that.
Councilor Tran?
How are you going to really encourage this? Is there some sort of incentive? Are you planning to fine if you? I understand that you don't have to, but at the same time, it's kind of like suggesting you should. How are you planning to enforce this?
we are planning that the private company follows this ordinance, and so that is why we mandate it.
Councilor Kirkland?
Motion to call roll call.
I'm sorry, someone has their hand up, but I can't. Councilor Culp?
I think we should not bother the service providers with the time or the money it takes for them to remove it, and give us better services like more high definition channels and more on-demand videos.